This is Just Salvato Boxing for Free podcast. Here at the Sullivan County Boxing Gym. My guest, and you might be a regular, is Coach Jose Toledo. Okay, so you tell us a little bit about yourself and your gym.
Okay, I own a local gym in Sullivan County. It's located in Liberty, New York. We've been here approximately 2 years. We had a fire maybe like 6 years ago, and we moved to Monticello for about 3 years, but we're back in Liberty, New York. I
brought Jose in so we could discuss the first Leonard Hearns fight, which was September 16th, 1981?
1981, yes.
Before I break down round by round, I just want to throw out a few facts I thought were interesting. They were fighting for the World Welterweight Championship. I believe Leonard was the WBC champion, Hearns was the WBA champion. They were in an outdoor arena, Caesar Palace. Apparently they had a crowd of just over 23,000. Now, I'll be talking about this later, about my opinion of the judging. But apparently, by the end of the 14th, at the start of the 14th round, all three judges had Thomas Hearns ahead in this fight. Yeah, we'll discuss that a little bit. But before we get there, I just want to ask Jose, do you have a favorite between the two? Not a favorite who will win the fight, but...
As a boxing fan, I like both fighters. I like Sugar Ray Leonard and I like Tommy Hearns. When it comes to boxing like that, it's the best man wins. Whoever prepares the best is going to win the fight.
Myself, I always preferred Leonard. I thought Leonard was, consider him a dynamic fighter, someone that can change on the fly, someone that had versatility, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Always preferred Leonard. And not to say I don't think Thomas Hearns was a great fighter. I just always liked people like Leonard that can move, can stick, can have a lot of different tools. Well, you know what? Let's break down the rounds, and then we're gonna discuss the fight some more. Round one, there was a lot of lateral movement from Leonard. He threw some jabs. Hearns was, stalking, throwing the occasional body shot, jabbing. Then he threw some straight rights to the body towards the end of the round. Now, if you've seen the fight, you know that after the bell, Leonard put his hand on the side of Hearns' face, and Hearns didn't seem to like that. He immediately threw a punch. Thankfully, it wasn't a powerful punch. The referee got in there and split them up, but clearly these two guys had an issue with each other. More so, it seems like Hearns had an issue with Leonard.
Well, I think there was a lot of tension going into that fight, and as you say, Sugar Ray Leonard was using, his lateral movement. He was trying to outbox Tommy for the first 2 rounds, and then we'll get into the third and fourth. But I think that he gave away the first two rounds with his lateral movement. He wasn't making as much contact, and Hearns was controlling the fight from a distance. I think Sugar Ray was just feeling him out for the first few rounds. Because once we get into the third and the fourth, they start battling out.
In round 3, we see more movement from Leonard. Start the round, then he did a counter left hook followed by a jab. A stop jab, which basically stopped Hearns right in his tracks. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Leonard was making Hearns eat jab after jab, but Hearns eventually landed a right toward the middle of the round. Then followed that up with a solid jab of his own, which sent Leonard back, like sprawling back. At that point, Leonard got on his bicycle, started moving around.
Once they got into the third round, they started engaging a little bit more. The third, fourth, and fifth were good rounds. It was a battle. It was a back and forth battle between the two guys, and Leonard was a little bit more technical using his lateral movement. He certainly was getting in and coming right back out and using the ring.
You also see some faking from Leonard, trying to fake out, doing one of these, kind of deals. Eventually, they started trading shots near the end of the round, which looked pretty exciting. Round 4, there wasn't much movement from either fighter. especially Leonard, to start the round. Leonard was basically standing in front of Hearns for most of it. Both fighters were boxing, picking their shots, but with 30 seconds left, again, they started to trade. Round 5 saw both fighters showboating towards the end of the round, but again, to me, it was a lot like 4, where they were circling each other, staying in front.
They were staying in front. Sugar Ray was moving and slipping his head, but he was standing within striking distance. It seemed like he was looking for that perfect shot. And, certainly it came in the 6th round, but we're not there yet. But that's what he was looking for. So he was standing in front of Hearns, but he was picking his shots. And they went back and forth. Both of these guys came in great shape.
In round 6, we saw Leonard getting closer to landing his own right hand. He managed to slip another Hearns right. Leonard did land a left that rocked Hearns. To me, it looked like a shovel hook. Like cross between a hook and uppercut.
He caught him right on the chin, staggered him, his legs buckled a little bit. And...
Right. But in typical Hearns style, he would fight back valiantly.
That comes from an undefeated fighter. Hearns came into the fight with 32 fights, 32 knockouts. He was a guy that engaged, obviously, by his record. Those guys are guys that don't know how to hold, don't know how to pull you close. They just want to keep fighting. And he was young, 22 years old. He's got a lot of testosterone flowing there. And he certainly was carrying the WBA championship of the world. So he had a lot to prove. But
right, I forgot to mention that Hearns is really young in the fight, 22. I don't know how old Leonard was.
He was 25 years old at the time.
Within the last 30 seconds, again, both of them were landing big bombs. It was a pretty big round for Sugar Ray Leonard. Round 7, Hearns came out landing right hands, but after the 2-minute mark, Leonard landed more bombs at rock Hearns. Hearns did not look too good walking to the corner after the bell rang.
Well, after the 6th round and after Sugar Ray Hearns with that left hook, his whole style and the way he was approaching the fight totally changed. So he was closing the distance a little bit more. He was sitting on his shots a little bit. He was certainly going to the body really hard and coming back up top. So he stayed right in front of Hearns for the next 3 rounds. The 6th, 7th, and 9th, Sugar Ray basically controlled those fights, and he stayed in close where he can basically make contact and control the fight.
Yeah, round 7. Right, there's that order too. No, round 8 actually. Leonard. Again, to me, it was a pretty basic round in terms of action. Again, Leonard was stalking Hearns. It almost looked like the beginning of the fight, but this time it was Leonard stalking Hearns.
At that point, the whole tide of the fight changed. Thomas Hearns was using his lateral movement. Leonard was staying close. Leonard was the aggressor. Leonard was cutting the ring off. So at that point, Hearns looked like Sugar Ray Leonard did the first 2 rounds.
I was just going to get to that. In round 9, you really see that. I was going to say in my notes that this round reminded me of round 1, except in reverse. Where Hearns doing all the movement and Leonard stalking. The difference is Hearns was throwing a lot more jabs while he was moving. Leonard wasn't really throwing too many jabs, as I recall. He was picking his shots.
Yeah, he was slipping a lot of the shots. He was countering a little bit. He was using his lateral movement. I think he played it safe the first 2 rounds because he wanted to feel out Hearns. Hearns was an undefeated fighter. He had a lot of knockouts. Just don't want to jump in like that with a hard puncher like that. So, I think Sugar Ray Leonard, he was a thinker in the ring, so he was strategizing. He was being smart. He had a plan, and he was applying it.
Right, and here you have Hearns with that long jab try to actually reach.
And Hearns was a tall guy, at 6'1" to be fighting at the welterweight division. And even for this fight, he came in 2 pounds under the limit, which was 145. So, and to be that tall and to fight, he certainly had the reach, and he dominated a lot of guys in that weight division because of his reach and his height.
Round 10, not so much movement. I had both of these guys were basically circling each other, picking their shots, boxing, but no one moved forward, no one moved back. They were just circling.
If you really look at the fight, Sugar Ray, he hurt him in the 6th. He took control of the 6th round. He took control of the 7th round. He took control of the 8th round. It shifted a little bit more in the 9th round, where Tommy was getting the best of the 9th and 10th, and the 11th, and then once we got into the 12th round, you know, with 90 seconds left in the round, Sugar Ray Leonard hurt Hearns, you know. And if we look at the 14th round, he didn't let him off the hook. As soon as that bell rang, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard ran across the ring and jumped right on Hearns, because he knew at the end of the 13th that he was already hurt, and he wasn't going to recover in a minute.
Right, we'll skip, you know what, we'll skip to the 13th, because basically that's where Leonard caught Hearns with a right that opened up a series of combinations, some big bombs. Leonard sent Hearns through the ropes. I mean, they didn't send him out the ring, like off the apron or anything, but sent him through the ropes. Hearns was basically holding himself, you know, he caught the ropes, obviously. Once the fight continued, again, more power shots coming from Leonard. Then again, knocked Hearns through the ropes. The round ends. I don't know if you can say he was saved by the bell, but
yeah, he was saved by the bell, but when the bell rung, he was through the ropes. But you know, that's what Sugar Ray Leonard had. Sugar Ray Leonard had explosive power, so when he got you in trouble, he didn't let you off the hook.
Right, then round 14, an overhand right staggered Hearns, followed by, and then unfortunately he took a lot of punishment. The ref came in and waved it off.
I mean, the 147 pounds, two champions fighting each other. Sugar Ray Leonard, the year before, was coming off his first loss. That was in June of 1980. He lost to Roberto Duran. He took the rematch 5 months later in November of 1980, beating Roberto Duran. So certainly when he moved up and to fight Tommy Hearns, there was a lot of talk behind this. You know, Sugar Ray had beaten Roberto Duran the year before, so you know, this was champions fighting champions. You know, that's what you got in the 80s. You know, one champion, everybody fights each other, the best man wins. So this was a great fight. I love this fight. I mean, there was a lot of action involved. You see all their styles were changing. They were adapting in the fight. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard was on his feet, moving around a little bit, started settling down in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They started engaging a little bit more. There was a lot of action in those rounds, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You know, we got into the 6th round. Tommy gets caught with that left hook to the chin. He certainly got hurt in the 6th. And Sugar Ray Leonard started taking more control of the fight. He wasn't running as much. He was setting in his punches, closing the distance. You know, Sugar Ray, I think, controlled the 7th, 8th, and 9th. I think that Larry started coming back around the 9th. They went back and forth, but I think Larry got the best of those exchanges on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. 12th, Sugar Ray started taking control again. 13th, he hurt Tommy at the end of the round. And 14th, he finished it off. It's a great fight if you want to see an action-packed fight.
Yeah, you could say it was a dramatic fight. You know, when I think of, like, in terms of modern day boxing, at least within the last 20 years, comparable fights to me would be like anything with Barrera Morales or even Juan Manuel Marquez versus Manny Pacquiao. Because those were dramatic fights. You didn't know who would get at top who. You know, there's a lot of build-up. There's a lot of animosity between the fighters. Although not so much with Marquez and Pacquiao, but definitely Barrera and Morales. But those guys in the 80s, the welterweight kings, I like to call them, Duran, Hearns, Leonard,
and Hagler.
And
All four of those guys, they fought each other. You know, they were great champions. They fought each other. The year after Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns, Tommy went on to fight Marvin Hagler. That was the greatest 4 rounds you've probably ever seen in boxing. You know, certainly Tommy Hearns went on to fight Roberto Duran, knocking Roberto Duran out. I mean, these guys did not duck anybody. These guys fought each other, and that's the great thing about boxing in the 80s and the 70s. That's what we need now in the 2000s.
yeah, well, it's sad to say, boxing, boxing to the boxing fan is still good. It's just not dramatic enough for the casual boxing fan. But before we end this episode, I just want to go over the scorecards. Now, at the end of the 13th round, the scorecards were as follows. All 3 favored Hearns, 125 to 121. 125 to 122, 124 to 122. Now again, I must view fights very differently. Clearly I have a bias toward certain styles or something, because I did not see Hearns winning that fight up until the last round. But everyone, I've seen reporters, the same thing. They scored Hearns winning the fight. So clearly, I am not seeing something. I am missing something.
Well, coming into this fight, Hearns never won more than 13 rounds. So I think that was Sugar Ray's strategy at the beginning of the fight, and that's certainly why he was applying the lateral movement and feeling him out. I think he wanted to take him into the later rounds, and once he hurt him, he didn't let him off the hook.
Well, you have, were you like everyone else? Did you also have Hearns winning this fight?
I think Hearns was ahead of the cards. I really think so.
What was the deciding factor for you? What were you?
Well, I knew that Sugar Ray had given the first and second round away. And there was a lot of action in the third, fourth, and fifth, which could have certainly swayed it anyway. But I think that Hearns was controlling it more with his reach, and he was putting his punches together. I think Sugar Ray was looking for that big shot. He was slipping shots, but he wasn't countering. He wasn't throwing punches. So when you see him coming back to the corner and Angelo Dundee's telling him he's blowing it, you got to throw a lot of punches. I was certainly seeing that while I was watching the fight. I think what swayed the fight a little bit was after that sixth round when Hearns got hurt. So, Sugar Ray, as soon as he knew he had him hurt, he dominated 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I think that, Tommy had to come back, and he started coming back the 9th, 10th, and 11th. The 12th could have won any way, and we certainly know the 13th he got hurt, and the 14th he got finished. So,
right. I do recall at the end of, I forget what round, possibly the 12th, maybe the 13th, but Angelo Dundee was explaining to Leonard that he was behind. So they definitely believed they were behind the fight, and that Leonard needed to do something, for a knockout. And certainly he did. He came out a lot more aggressive in the 13th and finished in the 14th.
This was a great fight. You had Sugar Ray Leonard. He was certainly coming into this fight with 30 victories. The only defeat was to Roberto Duran, but he also had 21 knockouts, which certainly says he has punching power. I think that hit more. You see more of the punching power when he was settling on his shots. Not so when he was boxing. When he was using his lateral movement, obviously he's not settling on his punches. The same thing with Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns came into the fight, 32 fights, 30 knockouts. He was undefeated. He had the WBA belt. Sugar Ray Leonard had the WBC. They had 2 Hall of Fame trainers in their corner, Angelo Dundee and Emmanuel Stewart. I mean, these were well-known trainers that had well-rated fighters in their gym. They certainly was getting the training that they needed, and it certainly showed in the fight. I mean, this was a really hard fight for both fighters.
All right. I think Jose said it all. All right. This is Jose Toledo and Justin Salvato. This is the Boxing for Free podcast, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. We're looking back at the first Leonard Hearns fight from September 16, 1981.
Yep, it was 81.
That's right. All right. We'll see you.
Thank you.